Have you ever met one of those people who just can't be stopped? It's like they're unstoppable.
Yeah, I have.
Me too.
What's their mystique?
Nothing stops these people.
Don't stop.
Welcome to Mission Unstoppable with Coach Frankie Picasso. You're about to meet some of the most amazing people.
Stop. Don't stop.
They've accomplished their goals despite insurmountable odds. They beat adversity, physical hardship, and traumatic events, and emerged triumphantly. They're people just like you and me, and they're winners. Are you unstoppable? Here's Frankie to show you how.
Welcome to Mission Unstoppable Radio. I am your host, the unstoppable Frankie Picasso, and today we are going on a Mission Unstoppable with the biggest S.O.B I know. That spunky old broad. Does that ring any bells? Well, you may have seen her on ABC, NBC, Fox, or read about her in USA Today or Newsweek. Perhaps you read her bestseller, Big Ideas for Your Business, Winning Ways, and her book, How to Be an S.O.B, a spunky old broad who kicks butt. And it's now in its third printing. She's a radio host and creator of Living Regret Free, both the show and column. And yes, we are speaking about Dr. Gayle Carson. And she has lived an absolutely incredible life, or should I say, is living an unstoppable life, full of adventure. Dr. Gayle has had many successes in her life, as well as some unfortunate events befall her. Yet despite those, she attributes her silver lining mentality to those successes. It's how she's able to build her company and go from 0 to 7 offices, travel globally as an international speaker, coach, and consultant, and produce over 24 books, CDs, and DVD programs while working with over 1,000 clients in 50 different industries. That's pretty phenomenal. Dr. Gayle has also had more than her fair share of tragedy and loss. She survived 3 bouts of breast cancer and 16 surgeries. She experienced the death of her husband and her oldest son, 2 devastating losses to say the least. And yet, throughout it all, the cancer, and even during the radiation and chemo, she kept working. She truly is unstoppable. And if you stick around for the next 55 minutes or so, you will learn many lessons to help you become unstoppable too. So please welcome Dr. Gayle Carson. Welcome.
Well, thank you, Frankie. That was quite an introduction. I'm going to carry you in my suitcase wherever I go.
Well, you're quite the woman. I mean, how can we not? And I have to apologize for my voice today because I've been sick for about a week and just doesn't want to go away. So it's a little 2 octaves lower and a little nasally. Sorry. Dr. Gayle, I read that you have your mantra was, so what are you going to do about it? Gayle. Look at the mirror.
Yeah, that's what my mom used to say to me all the time. You know, she never coddled me. I mean, she loved me to death, but she really raised me pretty strict. And the most important thing that she gave me was discipline and accountability. I tell you, I wish more people had that today because I think they would get to where they wanted to go. But that's how I was raised. And so when anything, well, let's just say an obstacle presented itself, I had to deal with it. That was it.
You know, it's interesting. My dad, like, you love to work with entrepreneurs, and I do too. And my father, the one thing that he said to me was, anybody can do it with money. And that just set me up to always think about being creative. Yeah, if I didn't have money, how could I do it? And I think that you know how to do that.
Yeah, well, of course, I started out. I mean, my first business I bought when I was 21 years old, so I didn't have any money, and I really bought it no money down and then paid it off over 3 years and then began to build it, and that's where the 7 offices came from. But
Wow.
That's what I did. I mean, I really had nothing when I started. I was just a kid. I thought I knew everything, of course, but I really knew not very little, and it was just sheer perseverance and really loving what I did and dedication and so forth that really made all the difference in the world. So, yes, I know what it's like to operate without money.
What was the very first job that you did?
Well, my very first job was, believe it or not, at the age of 13. And I had broken 22 pair of glasses, and my father said to me, "Young lady, if you break another pair, you're paying for them." And I went up to the optometrist and I brought my glasses down. He was waiting for me by the curb, and I sat on them and I broke them. So he
Oh,
said, young lady. And I said, I know. And the only thing available to me was babysitting, which I thought was the absolute bits. So I said, can I get a real job? And, this was the 50s. And
sure.
he said to me, well, yeah, if anybody will hire you. So I went through the newspaper and I became an Avon lady, and I became the top salesperson in our whole area at the age of 13 because
Wow.
I thought it was nifty knocking on people's doors. And at that time, people were home and they let me in, and I sat down on their couch, and that was it. I would not get out until they bought. So
And the 13-year-old in you thought that you could make these women absolutely beautiful for their husband.
my little black bag and I went house to house, and that was my
That's so
very
funny.
first job. But my first real business, was a modeling school. And then I built that into a chain of career schools and a talent agency that was both SAG and AFTRA. So we did a lot of movies and TV commercials and that kind of thing. And a convention service company where we put on events for conferences that were coming to Southern Florida. And I really enjoyed that as well, because we did industrial shows and theme parties and
Yeah.
all kinds of different events.
I love events. I was an event promoter too. Many
Really?
eons ago. Yeah, I was the first female kickboxing promoter
Wow.
in the world.
Wow. That's fantastic. That's
Yeah,
great.
it's fun. I
Well,
used to-
see,
yeah.
that's where you get your energy from, too.
Yeah, I love it. The creative, portion of that is just so exciting to be able to build something from nothing. Really, it's the birthing process that's really fun for me in being an entrepreneur and starting a business. That's the part I love. What's the part that you love about being an entrepreneur?
I think I just love the whole idea of knowing that I get up every day. I do get up every day with a smile on my face, and I do go to sleep every day with a smile on my face. And I think it's the fact that I just have a passion for what I do all day, every day. And although I've had different businesses, because I sold that one after 21 years to go into speaking full time, I just have loved it. And interestingly, a lot of people say, they just can't take the grind of the road. And I used to be in a different city every day. I was doing about 135, 150 programs a year.
Wow.
And I will say that travel was easier then than it is
Yeah.
now. But
How so?
I love,
Just
well,
the traffic,
because-
or
No, it was, first of all, there were more planes flying. Second of all, you didn't have security. Third
okay.
of all, they would just let you get on another airplane. I traveled on more planes without a ticket because, the one airline would say, just run over there and get on the plane, and then they would figure it out later. But they can't do that anymore,
No.
So today, if your plane is delayed or canceled, you are delayed or canceled.
Yeah.
So it's just totally different now. But then it was fabulous. And of course, it took me to 50 countries, 49 states. I met a great array of people, and everyone I met in every country couldn't have been nicer to me. So it was just a really wonderful time. And it was a marvelous educational experience for me to learn the different cultures, to learn how different people thought, what was important to them, how they operated in their lives. It was just fascinating. So that's why it was so enjoyable.
Well, I think, that us women here who are listening to you, we need to bow down to you because you really were, a front leader, a front runner in opening doors up for women. I mean, it sounds like not very many women did what you did.
Well, it's interesting. When I started my speaking career, which is really in 1980, it was there were very few women speakers, and a lot of my audiences were like 95 to 98% male.
Mm-hmm.
And many of the times I was one of 13 people certified to do Tom Peters' In Search of Excellence program. And of course, everybody came expecting Tom Peters, which of course, there was no publicity saying he was going to be there, And I would get up on stage and they'd look and say, what? And if I would get up and I would say, good morning, I'm Dr. Gayle Carson, and I'm here to give you all of the facts about searching for excellence. And if I didn't have them in that 6 seconds, I didn't have them the rest of the day. And I had to wear my navy blue suit, which was my worst color. And I had to wear those little ties, And so now I don't do that anymore. Since I'm the S.O.B, I can do what I want. But in those beginning years, it was, you played the game and It worked out for me. But it was just a totally different time.
Oh, I'm sure you had them eating out of your palm. I can see it.
Well, it was good, except when you got people that said, when you were doing the critiques and you got your evaluation forms, and they would say things like, "Well, I don't understand why they didn't have donuts." nothing about what I was saying, but why didn't they have donuts? Or I don't think her lipstick matched her clothes. Which I always thought was quite interesting, because you're here to learn about assertiveness, or you're learning about leadership, or you're learning about team building. What does my lipstick have to do with anything? But it was very, I would look at those things. And of course, when I first started out, every criticism was so hurtful. I internalized it all. And finally I got to the point and said, I'm doing as good a job as I think I can do. So that's all I care about.
So is that the advice you give to other people? Because it can be very damaging to the spirit to, for people to throw those daggers at you. You're doing the very best you can. And yet, they're going, oh, her lipstick didn't even match. She's short. Like, who cares? That's where their mind.
That's right. The advice I give, in terms of that, I think if somebody says something a half a dozen times, in other words, if there's 6 people saying the same thing, then you have to pay attention to it and say, is this valuable? Am I not seeing it from their viewpoint? Is this something I have to think about? And, then I think you have to pay attention to it. And there were instances of that where I had to be very sensitive to certain things. But, unless it comes from a variety of sources at various times, let's say not all in the same program, but let's say you hear it over a period of 6 or 7 different programs that you're doing, I think then you have to pay attention to it.
So 6 is the magic number?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
In my opinion.
Okay. I like that. And you got many programs, and I'm just wrapping my head around that 6 again for a moment, because we're about to go to a break shortly, and I really want to talk to you about something, but I don't want to bring it up yet.
Okay. All right. Okay.
So I'm just wrapping my head around that. Speaking about entrepreneurs and women and being, bold and in the front of this group of maleness, because I've been there myself before. The worst thing that happened, we're going to go to break in a minute. The worst thing that happened to me was that I was told not to sell as much because their egos were damaged. Did that ever happen to you?
No, I think in terms of selling, I don't think it had anything really to do with egos. I think it might have been the way people approached the sale. So I would think that I don't see where it would have. I think if it has anything to do with egos, it has to do with their ego.
Their ego. Absolutely.
Their ego. Yeah.
Well, we're going to talk about ego when we come right back from our break. Okay. We're speaking to Dr. Gayle Carson, and it's such a pleasure. Stick around, stay close, because you're going to want to hear what she has to say next.
Don't stop.
That's right, don't stop listening. Mission Unstoppable with Coach Frankie Picasso will continue right after these messages.
Stop.
Congratulations on being the proud owner of an adorable, soft, cuddly, sweet-smelling, smiling, cooing, hungry, tired, gassy, screaming little bundle of joy. So now what? Where's the owner's manual for this thing? Where are my instructions? Right here. It's Baby and Toddler Instructions with Blythe Lipman on TogiNet.com. Infant care specialist Blythe Lipman has worked with babies for over 20 years and works extensively with new parents, providing workshops, in-home visits, tips, and daily phone calls to ease those frazzled nerves. With Baby and Toddler Instructions, you can get the advice you need on how to survive and enjoy your baby's first year. For more information on Blythe and how she can help you, go to babyinstructions.com. From 32 ways to stop a baby from crying, to 14 ways to get a baby to eat, and so much more. It's Baby and Toddler Instructions with Blythe Lipman on TogiNet.com.
Thanks for sticking around. We're back with Dr. Gayle Carson. I promised she'd be here, and she still is. I hope.
Along with my dog and my cats. My cat's all over me, and my dog is barking. So if anybody hears that, they'll have to excuse it.
What kind of a dog is it?
I have a Yorkie and I have Siamese cats. So
Okay.
anything's. Oh, I have Dylan. Well, my Siamese, who's 6 years old, is Dylan, and then I have a 15-year-old who's Diva, and then I have my Yorkie who is 11, and her name is Abby.
Aww. There we go. I'm also an animal communicator, so I'll just tell them to stick around and just stick around and listen to the show, guys. You're already unstoppable.
And with that, Dylan left, so you must have said something to her.
She doesn't like the competition. I brought up this idea of ego and female in a male's world, because there were several times I went for jobs and even on dares I took jobs where they said, you can't do it. The guys, they don't think you can do it, and you're a woman. And I did it, and I did it better than they did it. And then, like I said, I was told by one manager, please stop selling so much. And now I was on commission. So I'm like, what do you mean? Like, that's my livelihood. Why would I stop? Teach them to do it better, And I think that's an
actual manager, sales manager,
yes,
told you. That is amazing to me.
Because the guys were all like hanging their heads. Can you believe it?
Tough.
Yeah, exactly. Tough. That's what I said. But I wondered, when you were talking about the daggers and the hurtful comments, was there any that really carried through? And the reason I'm going to ask you this is because I'm just thinking about the breast cancer and how it came and maybe why it came. All of this load that you carried through the years. Do you think any of it had to do with anything detrimental to those people that you were speaking to, or is it hereditary?
Well, I don't think it's hereditary because my mom lived to 99 and a half and she didn't have anything. So I would say not, although I can't speak for other parts of our family that I may not know about. But I do think there is a link to stress. Now, I didn't think I was stressed because I loved everything I was doing. And I was very healthy. I did eat red meat, though. I do like red meat. However, I'm a big exerciser, so I was always exercising. On the other hand, one of my personal trainers who ate very healthy and worked out all the time and it was in absolutely fabulous shape, actually passed away from breast cancer. So I'm not sure that anybody really knows. I mean, everybody's got a lot of theories.
Sure.
But I don't know if anybody really knows. I think there are certain things, yes, you can do to prevent it in some fashion. I think there are certain foods that are healthier for you. I think there are certain habits that are healthier for you. I think there are even certain supplements and vitamins that you can take that are healthier for you. But in reality, I don't think anybody really knows. I do think that there is better detection today. I think there's better treatment today, but I don't think anybody really knows.
No, I don't think they do either. But I'm just, as a speaker, sometimes, you get that little adrenaline rush in your stomach, that cortisol that's released. And I just wondered, even that.
Well, it could be, I mean, yeah, that's the point. Who knows? And would I have done anything differently? I don't think so. That's
the fun part too, right?
Yeah. I mean, when I think about, and whereas everybody talks about like people would say, "Oh, I'd like to be in your suitcase and follow you around," and I would always say, "No, you wouldn't," because you'd be exhausted. But to me, it was just part of the game, so to speak. I mean, I drove through snowstorms and in between trucks, and once I took a Greyhound bus because everything had stopped flying and nothing was traveling except the Greyhound bus, and I had to get from one city to the next. One time I hired a taxi. I mean, just all different things that I did to get there. And I guess it was stressful, but at the time I was in such a state of this has got to be done, and I was on adrenaline. So I just didn't connect it. Not to say that was not part of it, but again, that was all part of the process, And
through this, you raised a family.
Yeah, 3 children. I had a great husband. I mean, my husband was fabulous, and he really took on the role of the home. I mean, he always had a job and he had his own business eventually, but he was always the one that really enjoyed being with the kids, and I really enjoyed working all the time. I took care of the discipline and the school. You know, I went to the meetings and that kind of thing because that was not his. But as far as loving and cuddling and being there, he was the one who really took on that role, and he was fabulous at it. I mean, he was and he was very accepting, which was very unusual in that time and space, of do what you want to do. You know, of course, his philosophy was make as much money as you can so I can buy all the toys that I want, you know, that was part of it. But also he was very, you know, he knew that being married or just working at a particular job would never be enough for me. And so, and he knew, he said, you know, I trust you. So, and it was a very interesting and modern relationship in a time when women still did not work.
Right. Absolutely. You know, I think of my own mother who had her master's in economics and was desperately wanting to work. And my dad's like, no, you got to stay home. You know?
Well, of course, if my husband had said that, I wouldn't be married.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
In fact,
exactly.
I almost didn't marry him because of a cat. You know, he had a dog. I had never had dogs. He had a dog. And when I was in the modeling business, I used to use his dog in my fashion shows. And I would have the dog model dog fashions. And when I knew we were going to get married, I said to him, oh, great, now I can have a cat. And he said, oh, no. He said, no cats. And I said, why not? He said, well, I don't really like cats. I said, are you telling me that I can't have a cat? He said, well, yeah. I said, well, then I'm not getting married. He said, what? I said, well, I can live without you, but I can't live without a cat. So
how funny is that?
Yeah, and that's how I ended up on Siamese, because I had only plain old alley cats. And I went to the library, because this is pre-computer days, and I got a list of cats. I must have given him a list of 50 cats. And he picked a Siamese. So I went out and got a Siamese cat, and I've had Siamese ever since. But that is how it all started.
You know, that's so funny because my husband doesn't like dogs in the house. He grew up on a farm. Animals are outside. And in my house, animals are inside. And he did not want a dog. And 3 Christmases ago, he comes home with a puppy for me. And I'm like, oh, whose is this? He goes, it's yours. I go, what do you mean it's mine? You don't like dogs. I gave up. I had given up, you know. And I would have stood in front of a firing squad. You're not ever going to have a dog. He goes, how could I let you go the rest of your life without a dog? I see how you reach out to them everywhere. He goes, I couldn't do that to you. I thought,
well, see, that's a wonderful man.
That is a wonderful man. It is a wonderful man. Yeah. You know, animals are so important. So if you're listening and your spouse won't let you, maybe you have to leave.
Yeah.
I don't know. You know, I want to talk to you about aging and about keeping, looking forward, I guess is what I'm looking at. As women age and we come into, you know, our 50s and we look in that mirror and we see, you know, more lines and that youthful, you know, young woman who's on the inside but not on the outside anymore looks back at you. You know, we go into a little bit of a depression. It can be difficult. It's like people used to look at you and now they don't. You know?
Well,
what's your answer to that?
Well, I think it again depends on how you see yourself and how you see what you represent. I look at pictures of myself from long ago and I say, "Oh, who is that person?" On the other hand, people say to me, they have no idea how old I am, and they'll say to me, "Well, they think I'm like 60 or
you're
maybe
extremely attractive."
Well, but
you know,
I'm 77. I'll be 78 in 2 months. And people have no idea how old I am. In fact, many times, you know, they'll guess me, as I say, 15 or 20 years younger. And I've never done anything except take care of myself. First of all, I wouldn't have plastic surgery, not because I'm against it, but having had 16 surgeries that I never wanted, I really don't want to go under the knife for something that's elective. I've never had Botox. I've never had that. Do I take good care of myself? Absolutely. Do I, for example, massage my face? Do I use creams? Do I pay attention to what I put on my face? Absolutely. But in terms of anything else, I wouldn't do it, only because of what I've been through. On the other hand, I look at some of our movie stars, and they're not doing too well, let me tell you. I mean, when you look at pictures of some of our stars from 20 years ago or 30 years ago, there's a difference. So everybody ages. However, I think it's your energy level, it's your thought process, it's your mindset. It's, do you love your day? I think that people who are stuck are the ones that look in the mirror and say, oh boy, how old am I? And they look old because they're acting old. But when you keep active and you keep learning and you keep busy and you keep going, that makes a big difference. Plus, I exercise just about 2 hours every day, Frankie.
Oh, wow.
And yeah, I mean, I really do. I can't do the things I used to do because of my chest, because I've got, I've always had back problems, but now my knees are gone. And I don't want to have knee replacement. I want to do stem cell, I should say. And I'm limited in certain things, but I work hard at what I do. And people in my class say they just don't have any idea that I'm as old as I am. But I know I am when I can't get off the floor the way I used to. But I'm still limber. I can still touch the floor with my hands. Yeah, that I can do. But it's just with the knees, I can't get up the way I used to. So I think it's all of that represents aging to people, and some people just plain give up.
They do, and I'm wondering, would you be afraid to start a new business today?
No, I'm starting new things all the time. As a matter of fact, No, I mean, when I started the S.O.B, that was 10 years ago, really didn't get started till almost 8 years ago because my husband was still here and there were things I had responsibilities for with him. However, I'm doing that all the time. I'm starting new things all the time.
Well, we want to hear what you're starting. Yeah. I got to cut you off for one moment. Sorry, but we're going to go to a commercial break. And when we get back, we are going to hear what Dr. Gayle Carson is starting in her 78th year?
77th, almost 77th. Yeah.
There we go. It's coming. Stay close. You're going to not want to miss this.
Don't stop.
That's right. Don't stop listening. Mission Unstoppable with Coach Frankie Picasso will continue right after these messages.
Girlfriended is on TogiNet. Thursdays at 10 a.m. Eastern, 11 a.m. Central, with your hosts Patty Wyatt and Lisa Jernigan. This show is your chance to share, learn, laugh, and connect with other women. The Girlfriended principle was born out of loss.
Lisa had recently had her mother pass away from cancer, and my mom was murdered. A man just walking into a room and started a 23-second shooting spree.
I think one of the things we both realized going through those tragedies that you can be extremely okay and be extremely sad.
Check out girlfriended.com and then be a part of Girlfriended, the radio show. Thursdays at 10 a.m. Eastern, 11 a.m. Central.
Your boyfriend or your husband or whatever, they don't totally understand that emotional side to a woman like another woman does. And I think that's so important, just to have somebody that you go, she gets me.
Check out the website, girlfriended.com. Don't miss Girlfriended with Patty Wyatt and Lisa Jernigan. Thursdays at 10 a.m. Eastern, 11 a.m. Central on toginet.com.
With Dr. Gayle Carson, and I promise that we're going to hear what she has that's new and different coming up in her life. And I know that you just started a new radio network.
Well, that is true, and you're one of my hosts on it, so that's a wonderful thing. Yeah, so this is really a network for women over 50. I have women over 50 doing programs for women over 50. It's a very needed market, and so I was very thrilled when I was asked to do this, and I think my hosts are fabulous. And it's a vehicle not for me so much as it is for that over 50 population. And so it's something that's very dear and near to my heart, and I'm very proud of it.
And you should be. I wrote a book about midlife myself, and one of the things that I noticed, I think, with this group is that they tend to be alone really. We in high school we go through adolescence and all kinds of things together as a group. But midlife we kind of are on our own. And do you think that is one of the reasons why we need so much help from other women?
Well, I think there's a couple of things. First of all, some businesses and manufacturers and organizations have recognized the fact that women over 50 really hold the purse strings. They really do. And so they're starting to cater to them, but not everyone is. And so it's not only the factor of making commercial enterprises aware of what the over 50 woman wants, but it's also having the over 50 woman looking at herself and saying, I think there's a magic thing that happens, Frankie, at the age of 50 when women say, and it may be men as well, but women in particular say, is that all there is? Did I do everything I was supposed to do? Where am I heading now? And so it really takes a look at that. And then when they hit 60 and 70, it's an even tougher question. So I think it's not so much that they're alone, although that could be part of it. But I think it's the fact that they keep saying, well, the time I have left is shorter than the time I had. What am I going to do with it? Have I used the time that I've had wisely? Did I make wise decisions? And for people who have regrets, and that's why I have that show, Living Regret Free, if people have regrets, it kind of stops them in their tracks because they say, oh, I should have, I would have, I could have, I wish I had. Instead of saying, that's in the past and look at the time I've got ahead of me. And instead of looking towards the future, they're looking at the regrets they have. And that is what I think isolates them more than anything.
Good answer. And for me, I think, because I'm 58, and I look at my father who's 91, and he was still started business when he was 84. And, he's been an entrepreneur his whole life and absolutely amazing. Never looks back, only looks forward, lives every day to the fullest and still goes to the gym and lifts weights, has a wife who's my age and is just absolutely phenomenal. And I think, gosh, I really hope I'm like him. But sometimes the passion feels like it's gone. And it's like you have to find the passion for what it is that really interests you. And I think that keeps you alive. Like me restarting, on TogiNet kind of reinvigorated me a little bit. What is it for you? And what advice do you give to women?
Well, I think that when a lot of obstacles are put in your path, you do get little depressed and you do get a little bit, this is maybe not for me. But I think if you just keep, well, that's where the discipline and the accountability and the persistence comes in. If you keep at it, something's going to come out of it. Somebody's going to discover you. Something's going to happen. And so I think, again, it's what is reality and what do you imagine in your eye? For example, I'm sure just like your dad and you and me, people have said, oh, I'd love to have my own business. Oh, being an entrepreneur is wonderful. But they have no idea. I was just at an event last night and somebody said, oh, you made such a wise choice being in business for yourself. I'm in this job. I've been doing this for so many years. I just wish I could be on my own. And I said, well, it's not all it's cracked
not too late.
I said, you don't have benefits. I said, you don't have paid vacations. I said, you don't have automatic customers coming in your door. I said, those are all things that you have to create on your own and make happen. And she said, oh, I guess that's right. They don't see it. They see the jazz of it, the sparkle of it, but they don't see all the work that everybody puts into it, just like with your dad.
Because it never stops.
That's right.
The work doesn't stop.
Just
it's still midnight and you're working.
That's right. And so, but the whole thing, I was speaking to a strategic forum group about 2 weeks ago, and I said, everybody here is an entrepreneur and everybody here is successful. I said, but if you don't get up in the morning with a smile on your face and you don't go to sleep at night with a smile on your face, what is it worth? I said, we all have obstacles during the day. All of us go through at least 12 to 15 crises in a day. If we don't, it's not been a full day. But still, if we can, at the end of the day, have a smile on our face, then we know we're in the right place. But if it gives you all that stress and aggravation, then no, it's not worth it. And you need to do something else.
Absolutely. So what do you do in your downtime? What's fun for you?
Well, I tell you, I spend a lot of time with my animals. I really do enjoy them. I mean, people are probably listening and saying, "What?" I talk to them; they talk back to me. And I like the theater. I like movies.
Oh, me too.
I go out to dinner with friends. Most of the time, I live in 3 places. So I'm really lucky because I live in Palm Springs, San Diego, and Miami Beach.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah, they're all 3 great places. So when people say, do you take a vacation? I say, I live in vacation. So I don't really need to go anywhere. I've been in 50 countries. I don't need to go anymore. And, so it's basically, it's really the things that I enjoy. Just, going out with friends and going to the theater, going to see a movie, just things like that entertain me. And I really do like being with myself. I entertain myself a lot. And so, I read books. I mean, I just keep myself busy all the time. This morning, I had an early morning board meeting for Nova Southeastern University. I'm on their ambassadors board. And last night I was at a holiday party for them. It was a alumni event. And tomorrow I have a luncheon meeting with a prospective joint venture partner. So, and then Saturday I am going to the Florida Speakers Association, where they made me a life member because I was one of the founders of it.
Congratulations.
So, thank you. So I am busy every single day. And then on the next day, I'm taking, my daughter and the son of a friend of mine, one of my students who passed away at 93. Her son, who is 10 years older than my daughter and 10 years younger than I am. We all go out once a month. So it's, there's just always something that I'm enjoying that I have fun with.
You are certainly one whirlwind of a lady. But that's life. That's a great life. You really are living this unstoppable life. That's amazing.
It is true. And, it's funny because when people ask me, and again, I don't know the profile of your listener, but when people say to me, would you ever get married again? I basically say no. First of all, I'm never going to find anybody like my husband. Number 2, what fellow at my age would put up with me? That's number 2. And number 3, most of the men my age are really decrepit.
They're old.
Yeah, they are. And the ones that I think are my age are in their 50s. And if they're in their 50s, then they want somebody in their 30s or 20s. Exactly. So, so it's a vicious circle. And I don't really miss having somebody in my life because I'm so busy.
We're always busy.
Exactly.
Yeah, I can see that. You're describing your life and I'm thinking, it's like I'm like a mini you.
That's great. You're going to carry on the S.O.B. spirit, see?
And I just need the good clothes. You've got a fabulous wardrobe. You always look fantastic in your pictures.
Thank you.
So cute. Yeah. How tall are you, may I ask?
Well, I have shrunk. So I think I'm topping the scale now at 5'1.5".
That's where I am.
And I got it. Really? Isn't that funny? Yeah. Because I was 5'2.5". And I think and I said, to my sister, who's 5 years older than I am, and always had been a little bit shorter than I said, well, if I'm 1.5, that's what she was. What are you? And because I was complaining that I can't reach the bins in the airplane anymore, and I always have to have somebody help me with the bag, because I do only carry on. I never check luggage. And so she said to me, I'm down to 4'11".
Oh my.
So yeah, I shrunk a little bit.
You're going to have to teach us how to pack a bag like that. I'm still taking, everything.
Yeah, when I went to South Africa, I worked in Cape Town, Joburg, and Namibia. And at that time, you could take more luggage, but I still only took a rollerboard, and then I had a garment bag. And so my host said to me, well, let's go get your luggage. I said, this is my luggage. And she said, you're kidding me. I said, no. She said, I've never had a woman speaker come with less than 3 full-size suitcases. I said, well, this is it. So they did a story on me in the newspaper because nobody could believe that's the way I travel.
I have a suitcase just for makeup and rollers or something, blow dryers. My husband's like, okay, that was for that. Yeah. Oh, that's crazy.
Yeah, and I trained my husband, I trained my daughter, I trained my granddaughter. You don't come with me.
That's another business. That's another business. Especially on today's airline. My daughter left yesterday for San Diego. She only did take one bag, but they charge you the $25 anyway for the bag. Doesn't matter. It's the right weight, the wrong weight.
Right.
You're going to pay the money. And we were going to Mexico last year, and we we're all taking stuff out of everybody's suitcases and putting in other people's suitcases so that we could, meet that weight requirement. And I really do believe that there's a great business in that.
Well, I have to tell you a cute story. I did train everybody, to do their carry-on luggage. Well, one time we were going to Singapore, and my oldest son was living in Singapore at the time, but I was doing some workshops over there. So my husband wanted to come with me since our son was there, and so he decided he was packing a suitcase and going to check it. I said, "Please don't check your bag." "Oh no, I'm going to check it," which I always thought was funny anyway, because he always ended up wearing the same two outfits, even though he packed all this stuff. So I said, okay. So we got there, and we're waiting for all the suitcases. Well, his never came off the little thing that where they are, the baggage claim. So what had happened was they never put it on the plane. So it came the next day, but the suitcase actually had been left behind by the airline. And of course, by that time, the money changers were gone because we were waiting and waiting and waiting. So
we're going to go to a commercial break here. I'm sorry, Gayle. Sorry to cut you off. That's all right. Stick around, and we're going to find out what the plane's left, left of your stuff maybe when we come right back. Take care.
Don't stop.
That's right. Don't stop listening. Mission Unstoppable with Coach Frankie Picasso will continue right after these messages.
Do holidays and celebrations get you down and leave you feeling frazzled? Then join Sandy Fowler and her guests on Heart-Filled Holidays every Monday at noon, 11 a.m. Central on TogiNet.com. Sandy will help you discover the secrets to having the celebrations you've always dreamed of while adding fun and meaning to your life. From Valentine's Day to Christmas to special family events, Sandy Fowler will show you how to put the fun and meaning back into those special days by taking a look at what we can do to turn the upcoming holidays into cherished memories and show us how to allow it to intertwine with everyday life. For more on the show, Sandy, and to receive Sandy's Holiday Happiness booklet, go to heartfilledholidays.com. Then get set to discover the secrets to creating happy holidays and happy everydays by joining Sandy Fowler and her guests on Heart-Filled Holidays every Monday at noon Eastern Standard Time on TogiNet.com.
Hello, and thank you for sticking around. We're so happy that you did. We're talking to Dr. Gayle Carson, and I know that you're just enjoying her as much as I am. I am your host, the Unstoppable Frankie Picasso, and thank you for listening to Mission Unstoppable Radio. We really do appreciate it. Dr. Gayle was telling us a wonderful story about her husband. His luggage didn't meet the plane. And today, some people almost wish that their luggage didn't make it onto the plane, because I think they give you $1,000 now or something if it doesn't come, and you get to go buy a new wardrobe. Doesn't sound half bad, maybe.
I've never heard of the $1,000. I know they give you some money for essentials, but I won't tell you that they give you $1,000. If they do, it's a good idea to lose your suitcase.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I guess it depends on where you're going and what airline you're using, maybe.
Exactly, right.
You run a mastermind group. Tell us about that. Who's in it?
I have two different ones. I have one that I do as a volunteer for the Commonwealth Institute. This is an organization for executive women and women who are on the way up. And there's only two of them. It was started in Boston, which is where the Commonwealth Institute came from. And then there's one in South Florida, because some of the people who started it in Boston had homes in South Florida for the winter. Oh. And so I moderate the not-for-profit forum, which is a mastermind group. So in my group, I have 10 different organizations ranging from Habitat for Humanity, Girl Scouts, foster care. I have arts and learning. I have Girl Power. I mean, there's a lot of different organizations that are not-for-profit that are helping the community. And we meet once a month for 3.5 hours. We met this past week, and we usually do, one of them gets to present each month. So they get to present what their organization does, how it operates, sometimes what their obstacles are, and they ask for feedback. And then the other participants do check-ins every month. So they get, let's say, 10 minutes to check in and say, this is what we have accomplished, and this is a problem I'm having an issue with. And these women are, and it's all women, and these women are so helpful to one another, because if they have interviewed someone who really wasn't right for their organization but works for the other one, they'll say, oh, you should call this person. She'd be perfect for you. Or if they're working on a grant, or if they are needing some funding, or if they need a better procedure of how to do something. They are always so helpful to one another. I mean, it's just amazing
Good to hear.
me. Oh, yeah, very, very. And they really even have put their own documents together to apply for certain grants, because sometimes they ask for things that aren't really, that don't make sense to the organization. So they are so helpful to one another. So that's one group. And then I have another group where I teach sales and marketing. Well, I don't really teach. I'm the facilitator. I'm the mastermind person. So I give them a subject and we work through it. And these are all, this is from a business organization I belong to. And each member is in a different industry. So they don't, they really complement each other. And so I have 8 to 10 of those people in a sales and marketing mastermind group. And that's where they pay a certain fee to belong.
Oh, okay. So they weren't invited. They had to do they have to make a certain amount of money?
No, because they are part of this networking group. And so, it's anyone who wants to, let's say the first 8 or 10 people who pony up the fee, which is not very high. I mean, I really give them a break. Then they can, they can do work. But the interesting thing is they are really critical of one another, but in a positive way. In other words, they hold each other accountable. You were going to do this last month. Why didn't you do it? Or this would make, if you just got this one piece of equipment, it would make it so easy for you. And, if you just change to this system. And so they really are, they hold them accountable. They really do.
That's good. So what changes have you seen? I'll look at the nonprofits for a moment. What changes do you think have you seen through the years with the nonprofits?
I think in a non-positive way, the executive directors, because you have to be an executive director to belong to this. You can't just work for the group. And they're getting more tired and more discouraged because funding is down. So they have to fundraise more. And many times they are controlled by boards or chairmen of boards. And, the philosophies don't always match. Sometimes,
the limited thinking. Yeah,
exactly.
Right.
So at this last meeting, I actually had, out of the people who were there, and I only had 8 because of scheduling conflicts, but of the 8, 3 specifically said, I'm thinking of doing something else. And these people are so passionate about what they do. It's unreal. So it's really, I think that's the negative. On the positive side, though, they have brought great value to the community because some of these women actually started these organizations.
Wow.
So they have really brought great value, especially to the teenage community and especially to the people who don't have what they should have because of their economic situation. So when you hear people like that getting discouraged or really having second thoughts, you wonder because they do so much for the community.
I think there's that idea of compassion fatigue. People are tired. They're tired of giving. They're tired of being asked to give everywhere they go. And, when you see stories like the Red Cross, when people gave to the Haitian victims and the money didn't go to them, they said, well, we can do whatever we want with it. We put it in the bank and we're going to, dole it out here or there. Then it makes it difficult for everybody to trust any other organization. What are they going to do when I give them my money? We're touched by certain events and we want our money to go to those events.
And that's why many of these women show exactly where their funding goes. So that they say, if you give us, let's just say, $10,000.
Sure.
That $10,000 is going to go to buy new equipment so the after-school program will be able to do X, Y, and Z. So they are very specific about what the dollars are used for.
That's good.
Yes, very good.
Important, especially in today. You've seen a lot, and I know that this isn't, part of your structure, let's say, but I am curious. I mean, you're of a certain age and you've seen a lot of things and you've been to a lot of countries. What do you think about the Syrian refugees coming? What do you think about all the fear that people are feeling?
Well, I can certainly understand the fear. I mean, because you hear so many things on the media that you don't know what to believe. So I think the fear is real. I think the fear is real. The factor of keeping them out of our country or any other country, I think, is ridiculous. I do think that we need a better screening process. And
Agreed.
I think, by doing that, we're going to slow things up because when you start screening, things do not go well, So unless they have a very good clear way to screen people to speed up the process, I mean, I think it's going to be a nightmare. But I don't think it should be exclusive. No, and I don't think they should be excluded.
I feel very sad about that situation. You always want to put yourself in their position and think, if that was me and my family and we were desperate and, nobody wants to help, how horrible would that be? Especially at Christmas time almost, you think about things like that. It doesn't seem right. But I have it is what it is. And unfortunately, but I think fear needs to be replaced, like, with even accountability, like you talked about, let's be accountable human beings to other people in the world. And I think that's important. You, man, you've done so many things. But one thing I didn't ask you about was, what should women and when should they start questioning? What should they be asking themselves and what should they be questioning? And we've only got 3 minutes to the end. So, before you answer that, let's make sure that everybody knows how to find you. Because we're going to want to find you after this interview.
If they go to my website, which is spunkyoldbroad.com, they can there's a little quiz they can take there. They can then let us know they'd like to sign up for our newsletter. They can contact me. There's just a whole bunch of things there. But spunkyoldbroad.com is the website.
I love that. Somebody gave me the title of Bub, and Bub is busted up biker babe. Spunky old broad. Somebody says, isn't that rude to call her a spunky old broad? I said, no, she calls herself that. How could that be rude?
That's right. And for other people, because people say, well, does everybody want to be known as that? For me, the S.O.B. stands for spunky, open, and brave. I am the spunky old broad, but everybody else is spunky, open, and brave.
Oh, I like that. I like that. You really are unstoppable, Gayle. You really are. And having gone through all of the losses that you have and, hurdling through those obstacles and successes, it's very, very inspiring, extremely inspiring to all of us. And which is the one book that people should run out and get this Christmas of yours, do you think?
Well, I think they would really enjoy the how to be an S.O.B, a spunky old broad who kicks butt, because in there I give some life lessons. I give what's called Gayle's Tales, how I've, utilized the different techniques that I talk about and so forth. And I give 13 key tips, and I think that's the one most people would identify with and enjoy.
And they can get that on Amazon.
They can get it on Amazon or on my website. They can go to my website and get it directly.
Okay, well, there you go. Spunky Old Broad is going to go in somebody's stocking at least this Christmas.
We hope so.
Yeah, let's see if we can't drive some sales there. That'd be nice. We've only got a minute left. And I want to, again, thank you so much for being my guest today and being so generous with your time and your spirit. And really, everything that you do out in the world is just, it might not be for us directly or me directly, but I feel like it is. Like it'll eventually come around. And so thank you, Gayle.
Well, thank you for having me, Frankie. It was a delight, and you are a delight.
Thank you so much. You guys take care wherever you are in the world today, day or night. We look forward to you hearing our show. So please download our show. Give us reviews if you like. And we'll be back next week with another unstoppable guest. Take care.
Don't stop.
When the chips were down, they didn't stop. Stories of people who, when the odds were against them, turned defeat into victory. You've been listening to Mission Unstoppable with Coach Frankie Picasso. See you next time, and always remember...
Don't stop.